Hi, I'm Sud, CEO of impress.ai. Welcome to our video series Recruiter Diaries, where we learn battle tested best practices from recruiting professionals and hiring managers who have done significant hiring and interviews. Today, our guest is Anju Dinesh, who has an operations lead background at impress.ai. Anju has done thousands of interviews and has hired hundreds of experienced professionals in her previous role as a recruiter at one of the world's largest software services companies. Hi, Anju.
Hi,
It's good to have you here.
it's good to have
Uh,
you as well.
this is a new series from us. We're just learning from people who have done a lot of hiring and a lot of interviewing. We're just trying to learn what are the best practices that they've discovered while going through this experience. I'm sure there'll be some funny stories as well that will come across along the way.
I
I
hope so.
think many of those could be interesting to talk more about. So first off, wanted to just learn more about you. What do you currently do, and how much hiring have you done in the past?
So currently, I'm working with Impress, as you're aware. I'm working as an operations lead with Impress. Before that, I started my career as a software engineer in the first 2 years. And then I did my master's in HR, became an HR business partner, and then moved on to the recruitment space. So from the fag end of 2016, I've been working as a recruiter with an MNC company, mostly in the experienced professional hiring space. I've not done much of graduate hiring, only experienced professional hiring, and I was catering to a lot of verticals like life sciences, business operations, retail, manufacturing, a lot of different verticals in the company. And how much interviews have I done? I've done a lot of interviews. So to give you a sense of what volume hiring in a big company looks like. So we're expected to make like 40 offers in a month, right? That's the target that we typically have.
Wow.
So to make 40 offers, you imagining that every fourth person you end up interviewing, you actually hire them. So you do like
Yeah.
150, 160 interviews in a month. So if you multiply by that the number of
Okay.
years, so I've done a lot of interviews, yes.
Wow, it would easily run into thousands, no?
Yes, too
I'm
many.
guessing. Okay. Would you be able to recall anything surprising that you learned through the process of interviewing, like things that you learned as a person that surprised you?
Yeah, this happens a lot. Sometimes when I interview candidates or when I schedule interviews, some candidates they tend to say that I'm okay. So I say that I have a recruitment drive happening tomorrow at 1. Can you come? So they say yes, just because they're scared to say no. They don't know if they'll get an
Hmm.
opportunity again. And when I actually when they come on video, they're probably talking from their current office bathrooms on a video call, because they're still working with another company, right? And they can't like sneak out of that place. So that sort of thing happens because candidates are scared to say no. So I realized it's important to tell candidates that you're flexible, which we did not do in the past. And they started feeling like recruiters, like you said, are people with power and they should not be questioned. Should just say yes.
Did you have a system of, maybe have a checklist or something like that when you're in that interview and you want to make sure that you cover enough of that list? Did you have any system that you found useful to follow?
Yes. So personally, for me, a couple of things you need to be very clear before you go into an interview. One is what are the things that your organization can provide to the candidate? What are the things that are very important for the organization? Like, for example, when I was doing hiring in my previous company, my company was going through an enterprise level agility program. So the company was very clear that anybody that I'm hiring need to be able to understand agile or should have worked with agile concepts in the past, or should at least have an affinity to learn it. So that's something that I had to test. Another thing was my company was working with companies, partnering them on their digital transformation journeys. So I had to ensure that anybody that I'm hiring will not only be good at what they are currently doing, but will also show an interest in learning new technologies, should be adaptable. So one is knowing what your company is looking at. Two, what are the things your company can give them? Now, even if my candidate is not so very good at communication, I know that as a company, I have the infrastructure to train them. I have the infrastructure to ensure that they reach from 3 to 5 in a span of 2 weeks, given given the kind of system I have in my company to train them. So that
Okay.
understanding is very important. Another is, like I said, understanding of the role, and three is understanding of the market. So you need to know market intel as well. That is very important. What
Mhm.
skills are available in the market and what are you looking for?
Basically, what your bargaining position is in
Yes.
your in that
Yes.
situation. Have there been times where you felt like you were completely wrong about the candidate based on your interview? Like times when you thought the interview process just gave an inaccurate result and that the candidate was actually good?
Yeah, this has happened, and you hate that, right? As a recruiter, this happens. So it's probably one of the reasons why I was curious to join Impress as well. Because when I was working as a recruiter who was using my instinct to hire, there were times when I've hired incorrectly, like in the sense that when you have a time boxed interview, you can only ask so many questions and you can only get so many responses, and then you feel like this candidate is good. But later, once they're
Yeah.
in the organization, you feel like this person has an attitude problem, or this person was looking for something that the company just cannot provide, and he's not happy, we are not happy. It has happened in the past. But at that point of time, there was no way for me to go and reassess what are the things that I asked this fellow, and why shouldn't I have asked these things, or why should I have asked something else. So that sort of reassessment was not possible in a normal instinct based hiring, right? But when you're using an AI system, you actually can go back, okay, these are the things that I asked and it didn't work, I should probably change it.
Did you have a way to remove bias from your judgment or from your evaluation?
Well, you know, in many companies, bias is not something that people are, they're not yet ready to accept the fact that bias exists. Recruiters are biased, so many companies are still not ready to accept it. But still, we do talk about bias, and I feel like genuinely there is no way to keep all your biases out when you're interviewing a person, because you get to see, you get to hear, you get to listen. There is subconscious bias. And I felt, even as a person myself, I'm a very strong feminist. So when I interview people and there is a woman, I feel like, oh, this girl has achieved so much despite society, biology, and everything. And I tend to, overrate that person. That sort of thing has happened to me. So I think, and I consider myself a very self-aware person, a person who's aware of the biases that can exist. So I think, yes, it exists, and we try to be very objective and all that, but I'm not sure if we are always successful. But again, coming to Impress, that is one of the things that wanted me to work with Impress, because we are able to keep those things out, right? We don't give recruiters that sort of information that can create bias in their minds, and we have a way of evaluating each candidate on the same set of parameters and then making an objective decision.
Absolutely. Yeah, we're all trying to solve that big problem, I guess. Uh, what did you like best about your job as a recruiter?
Well, I loved being a recruiter. Like, I don't know, like, when I started off as an HR, I didn't know that I wanted to be a recruiter. I always believed that at the core of my being, I was an HR business partner, working with the business and people, solving their problems. I got into recruitment by accident, and then I just loved it because it's about steering people towards an aspiration or a dream that they had. Especially in my previous company, it was a dream company for so many people to come to this company, and there are so many people applying for that role. And it's a big power, it's a big responsibility, and it was a big high to be able to make so many offers at the end of the month. And another thing was, everything we do is tangible, right? When you're an HR business partner, a lot of things that you do and its effectiveness is actually a matter of perception of your bosses or of your leaders. But when you're hiring, everything is tangible, it's there in the metrics, and there's a lot of data to work with. So that's what I loved about being a recruiter.
That's great. Okay. Um, and this is probably my last question to you, and it's more to do with do you have any advice to give to recruiters? Like, what are the ways that recruiters can actually help make accurate hiring easier for everyone, for candidates and for their employers?
I think the only advice, and the advice that I feel all recruiters should probably use in some way, is to ensure that candidates know that you want to hire them. So more often than not, when candidates come, they feel like all these people sitting together just to judge me. But actually, you want to close the position as much as they want a job, right? So it's a mutual win. So make sure that you need the candidate and make them feel more comfortable. Then they'll be more candid, and you will get the kind of responses that you're looking for. I think that's the
Very
advice.
interesting. Okay, no, I like that. Hey, thank you for that. This was very interesting for me, and would love to talk more about some of these things at some other point.